Alrighty. Take a look here. And looks like the stream's up ready to go. So welcome back, anybody that's joining from previous sessions or joining for the first time today. It's a live Q&A here. We are doing with trade ideas. So free for all here. I don't come with any pre-done content, so fire away the questions, go over anything that you like, scanning, creating alert windows, top list windows. I'll poke a few charts here from Holly. Lackluster day from her overall. Fired all longs, and it was certainly not a day for longs today. So, David, how are you? Thank you for joining. And I know I had someone named Andy that was in our support a few moments ago looking for how to filter out warrants on a topless window. So if you're here, Andy, if you can chime in the questions panel, let me know you're here so I can maybe demonstrate for you that as well. So, David, floor's open to you, or I see now we've got a few more viewers starting to pile in. So please, any questions, fire away for me here. And I think my mic was a little loud. I'm turning it down a little bit. Let me know if that looks all right for everybody here, or sounds all right, I should say. All right, we'll leave it there, and if it's too low, let me know. Same thing here, David. I'm not much of a short side trader personally. If we ever hit a real extended bear market, I'll obviously have to start to apply how I work with moving averages on the flip side and work that into what I do. But I haven't really had to do it in my few years of trading, so not going to force it. We're still only a few percent off all-time highs, so I'm not exactly in any sort of great panic mode. Charts, scanners, unclear. Can you briefly explain? Yeah, so I don't know here. We'll go with a short and abbreviating for you here, Raja. We have a few different ways that we scan our alert windows. You'll see this A in the top left corner, or top list. We see this T in the top left corner. All right. Bring over my drawing tool just in case we need that. So here, just to highlight those, there's your A for an alert window, T for top list. They both work with a set of filters for scanning. However, the alert windows also have an alert or an event that are attached to those. So for example, if we right click here and we come to configure and we go to search, see all these here with these types of icons, those are going to be our alerts or our events. So the filter set of a scan and the alert event has to be happening in coordination in order to get that time-stamped alert. So, these are examples of alerts, new high, new low, 75% pullback from the close or pullback from the highs, so on and so forth, check mark, inverted check mark, up 38%, standard deviations, cross daily resistances, imbalances from the NYSE, crossed above or below different closes resistances. The list kind of goes on and on here for all these different types of alert events that we have that can be placed into a scan in coordination with what we call filters. As we scroll to the bottom here, we will start to see these icons will change to a dual set of purplish teal set of icons. So right here. Now these ones here that have these dual sets on them, those are our filters, and they always are indicated by different ranges. So, our prices, spread, bid, ask, volumes. We have all kinds of volumes, different ranges, position ranges, so on and so forth here with all this whole master list of things. And so we would select an alert. And then after that selected alert happens, we make sure it's got a check mark here in the selected alert box. We come to the window specific filter, and we come in here and we can add any filters that we want, take away filters that we don't want, and we give them each values, minimum and maximum values. And from there, that's how the scan works essentially. There are a few more things that we can get into that are a little more in-depth and complicated. We can look at different exchanges. We can exclude or include different exchanges from the US here. And we have a couple from Canada, the TSX Venture. We can tell a list or a scan to look at specific stocks only or specific lists only. We have different columns. So for example, our columns here, if we look, these are displayed pieces of data that we have, the symbol, time, price. Counts as how many times the alert has happened. So for this, it's a new high alert. So this is telling me that this has hit a new high on the day 117 times here and that. This has hit a new high 21 times. And you change from close percent. And all these represent what that stock was doing at the exact second right here that alert happened. All these things. And we can add or subtract different columns based on all the different filters that we have. So that's more or less the short and skinny of how alert windows work. And they will timestamp to the second saying, hey, this stock did exactly what you told me to look for at this second. Top lists work a little different. If we right click, we come to the configure a top list here. We'll see we're missing that selected alerts tab here. And so if we come to the search, we will see that there are no alerts, only filters. So the way the top list works is we give it a filter set. We put values in those filter sets, and every 30 seconds, the top list will recycle back and forth from the server and return every stock that meets its criteria or drop any stock that no longer meets its criteria. That's the basics of how we work in scanning. I'll pause on that. Let me know if that makes sense, or if you have questions, something I wasn't clear about, something you'd like me to go back over. Take a sip of water while I do that. And I don't know if Andy, who had been in my support chat through our website, is popped his head in here or not yet. And tape you a hello here on the support side of things. Let's see if we got you coming over yet, so I can show you how to exclude warrants. All right, so looks like maybe I answered your questions there, Raja. So, like I said, it's free, open forum on this Q&A here for Trade Idea Scanning. Fire away the questions. I will, attempt to fill dead air time the best that I can. Keep it moving, keep it interesting for everybody. Obviously, some days are going to be a little more interesting than others, and of course, interesting will also depend on, what we're looking at, what we're trading. What are the ones to the right? Let me see here. Are you talking about this here? If you're talking about this here, I'll continue under the assumption that you're talking about this here. And these are what we call compare count windows. So essentially, I have these set up to look at stocks in different, if we look here, market cap. So we've got sub 2 billion, 2 to 4 billion, 4+ billion big cap movers, and greater than 5.4 billion big cap movers. And all I'm trying to do here is look for, the buying and the selling of these stocks and what direction it's going. And so this kind of gives me a barometer of what the market is doing and what the big boys are doing more or less in the market. I like to take a look at these. This is something that I kind of stole from Jamie Hodge, essentially. He puts this out, usually tweets one of these out, exactly these windows here. Mostly these days, he's tweeting out the big cap movers only. He's not doing all these other windows like he used to do. But essentially, it gives us a snapshot, especially 15 minutes in. Are we more to the buy or sell side of things here? Early in the day, it was real ugly. All this was in the 20s. This was in the 20s. This was in the low 40s, and this was also in the low 40s. So the big cap movers have come back a little bit, as well as a small cap. But you can coordinate with what you see here more than less with what is going on in any of these indice charts. So we could see here earlier in the day, made a move up, made a move up. All right. Same thing down here. I know it's kind of cut off, but it was a quick shoot up and we faded. Same thing here. We started to fade. Tech is, as far as I was last looking, is getting pretty hammered. SPY is now heavier weighted tech, so that's kind of the results that we're seeing. But essentially, this is giving us a snapshot of what the market is doing by different market caps. And there's other things that we can do with this here. So if we come into the configure, all right, we can look at these different items that are in here. We can you can use the collaborate link to bring in from other scans. Let's see here. We can start a new one by going to new, and we come to compare count window. All right. And so these are things we can do. We click on configure. We come into here and we can see all the different things that we do here with filters and alert sets and so on and so forth. And it's the same kind of concept that we would do as far as building any alert window or any other scan. Add what we want to, how we want to do it. So if we were to, for example, come into this here and we come to configure, we go to configure. All right. We can go to summary and we can see we're looking for things making new highs. Distance from inside the market's no more than 2%, kind of filter out the bad ticks, if you will. 1 minute volumes, 300% of normal, meaning it's doing 3 times what it's normally doing over a 1 minute, over a 10-day average. Stocks with market cap is no more than 1.9 across on the billions. And we put this EPS hack in here to filter out ETFs. So the ETFs aren't going to affect what's going on here. It's only looking at stocks. And so this is going to look exactly the same across all 4 of these. All 4 of these. The only thing that's going to change is that market cap number, like we have here, how I've got it labeled essentially. And like I said, it's just another way to take the pulse of the market, if you will, if that makes sense. So let me know if that answers your question there. Get that out of the way. And I see a question here. Hi, Chris, can you please go over how to limit a new high alert to only show new highs that are higher than the previous day's highs? Absolutely. So what we're going to do here is look right at this one I call automated list. It's something I'm working for, trying to do an automated scan with pointed symbols list. However, I do something similar to what you're looking for in this. So if we come to configure, we can see here the selected alerts is a new high. You're welcome, Raj. I hope that helped explain over that. We also have some videos that go over things like this too. So if there's ever something, you want to get a little more in depth with, or, you just want to have the video to reference, you can always shoot us an email to trade-ideas.com and we get your video, just about anything that you're looking for. So sorry, back to you, Mr. Dan here. So we've got the new high selected, all right? And then if we come to search, let's go to position in range, all right? And we're going to look for position in previous day's range right here, all right? That's our position in previous day range filter. Does it on a percent basis, okay? And we would click that, so it's highlighted. We go to add filter, and if we click add filter, it's going to bring us over to our window specific filter. So we went from the search tab to window specific filter by adding that filter. Now this scan that I have here happens to already have it in there. All right, so right here, previous day's range, and I have it set a minimum of 75. If we click the show me function, this little magnifying glass that's here in the middle, all right, you say show me stocks where the price is at least 75% above the low of this range, meaning that it's 75% above the low of yesterday's range. I can easily change that by now putting 100, and that means it has to be taking out the high of yesterday. So that's what that would do there. We come to the show me function again, show me stocks where the price is at least 100% above the low of this range. And that's how we would do that to get us looking at yesterday's highs, essentially. And that's intraday highs, of course. I don't believe I have a way to look back at yesterday's pre-market high. Let me rephrase it. I know I don't. We're not going to save that because I don't want to alter that scan. And so let me know if that got your question there answered. Dan, of course, like I said, I'll keep pounding away at this just because I know people are filtering in and out, not sure what's going on here. It's a live Q&A for Trade Idea Scanner. So please, fire away questions. What are we doing here? What are we looking at? What is all these different tickers and symbols, numbers all over the different screens here? So, please fire away any questions. Like I said, I'll keep it moving the best that I can. I have no predetermined content for anybody. All right, perfect. Glad that helped you there, Dan. And then, you can go through, Dan, as well. Look, configure here. There's a lot of different position and ranges that we have. So, you want to look for something other than yesterday. I always hammer away that I'm big in the position 20-day range. But, we can come here and we can see all these different ones that we have on different time frames. So you got everything that's here, right? So follow up on that one. I said new high alert. Is there a days field next to it? What does that do? Sure. So, excuse me. If we come to, let's get rid of that and select alerts. So this here, for example, if we put in a 365 here, that means we're looking at 52-week highs. So you're looking at the high over the last 365 days. 10 days, 10 would be 10 days. So that's the look back for breaking the last high of that number. That's what that would do. I think that's what you're asking, right? Let me know if not. I'll try to make sure that we get that question answered like that. So, but I think that's what you're asking. Don't mind a field next to it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is what you want. So like I said, you enter this in and you get your highs like that. Different ones of these will have different things that I ask you for hours of trading or so on and so forth. Yes, in theory, that would work like that as well. That's another way to do that. Yeah, you could definitely do that. You could throw a 2 in there for sure. And that would look back at the day before. When you make changes to an alert window in a docked layout and save that layout, are those changes saved? Yes, they are, Jeff. Those will be saved. There's two things with saving. Something that I didn't know till I was several months into using Trade Ideas. So I'll go with that. Everybody understands that you can save locally and save to the cloud. Some things that you may save to the cloud won't show back up on the layout when you load from the cloud. So for example, if we draw a horizontal line on a chart or anything like that, any of these kind of markups or something, and then we save to the cloud, those markups won't be there the next time. But if you draw something on any of the charts and then you save it locally, lost my menu bar, there we go, and you save it locally, that will be saved. And the same concept applies with Brokerage Plus. So if you do anything here in Brokerage Plus, you add a new strategy, you alter a strategy that's in here, you attach account to it. So for example, all these strategies that are in Brokerage Plus, they don't come defaulted to any strategy. We come to edit trading strategy with the right click, and we can see accounts or none. If I click that accounts, which I'm not going to right now, you'll have the option of the different accounts where you're connected. So if you're connected to either Interactive Brokers, E-Trade, or our simulated trading, you're going to have those options that are in here, and then you can set that account. If you don't save your layout locally, these changes that you make in Brokerage Plus won't be saved. So just in case nobody is familiar with how saving layouts work, as far as this all goes, we come to File, and we're going to see Save or Share to Cloud or Save Layout. Save Layout is your local save. So if we come to Save Layout, what we have here is you'll see I have a whole bunch of different layouts that I've saved for different things when I'm doing different support sessions, sometimes when I'm making videos, layout that I was testing for something. And then we have what's called our default layout here. This default layout, all capitals with the underscore, that is the layout that will load every single time you load up trade ideas. So this is the layout that I want. I don't do a whole lot of pre-market stuff anymore, but I have a pre-market layout. So if I want to watch pre-market, I have a layout that is set up for the pre-market. All right. Let's see. I used to have a post-market layout. I don't know if I have that anymore. Evening scanning layout. So yes, I have an evening scanning layout. I don't use it quite as much as I used to. I've really simplified things with what I'm doing with the software these days. But the same idea is that, sometimes people are like, well, my layout's slow, and I come in, or I'm talking to them. They're like, well, I've got, 37 windows open. Okay, well, of those 37 windows, how many are you using during the day? Well, I'm using 15 during the day, and 10 are for pre-market and 12 are for post-market. Well, separate those layouts, because then there's less work for your machine to do and less work for data coming back and forth from the servers, essentially. So, just ways to break things up, keep the data fresh, keep the data moving, and keep your machine from getting overworked as well. So hopefully that all kind of makes sense. Or do you have to save the individual? You can save the individual window, Jeff, but you don't have to. What you would do if it was in a docked layout, though, or excuse me, a docked window, you would have to pull that out, save it individually if you want to save it as a separate window, and then redock it, and then save the layout too, if you wanted to change that window's base on top of changing it within the dock. Hopefully that makes sense. And then something we have coming down the pipeline that we're working on in development here. So if you're paying attention, you might have noticed this on my menu bar here. It's the performance monitor. If I go ahead and click this, it's going to give me this here and tell me all the different windows that I have, my CPU usage, memory usage, how long that I've been running. So I've been running trade ideas for 511 minutes today so far, so on and so forth. Tell me how many pinned windows we have. So I have one pinned window, which happens to be the Brokerage Plus. Different windows, I'm running one price alert window, 5 alert windows. I can see how many grids and how many rows are in each one of these things. And so this is another way for us to help troubleshoot anybody having issues with their layout or connection, and a way that hopefully, some of the more veteran users and people that become familiar can also troubleshoot themselves a little bit too here. So, another tool that we're adding to the arsenal for a little better customer service. So again, live forum here, or excuse me, open forum here, demonstrating trade idea scanners, alert windows, top lists, the AI, compare count windows, single stock windows, whatever we have questions on, please fire away. Like I said, I don't come with any pre-done content. I'll do my best to fill that airtime, but I'm doing this to try to get everybody a little more live Q&A. I know everybody can't make 12 o'clock support sessions on the Eastern side here. So I figured this, might be a time where people, if they are doing this from work, from the office or something like that, maybe towards the end of the day, they might be able to sneak in for half an hour, 45 minutes with us, and get a few questions answered, a little troubleshooting done for them as well. So a sip of water. Hang out here for a second, see if anybody's got any other questions coming in that I can answer or demonstrate. All right, so nothing else coming in for the moment. So, we show the good, we show the bad, we show the ugly. Today's, pretty ugly here with Holly. It's a lot of stop hits. My pink writing utensil there isn't even showing up well with all that red. There's a little bit of money in some of these here before they turn around and got ugly. SONM. That was in the money decently, as well as Sun W. A little bit of alpha here on GDRX, but some of these there's realistically nothing to be had on it. LNG, that's $2 means absolutely nothing there, and this is based on risking $100 based on the stop loss that was on every one of these. That's where that number comes from in the max profit from money. BILI was that wasn't really in the money at any point, and not really in the money at any point. So even some of these, even though they show losers, there was an opportunity to get a few dollars out of some of these. And why Man and Machine is best. Holly, the way she back tested, the way her algorithms came through, she looked like she wanted to go all long today, and that's what she did. This is what she came with for the day here on strategies. So you can see she was very to the long side with only 1, 2, 3 short strategies versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 long strategies. So that's just kind of the way that it worked out in the optimizing back testing over the last couple of days. She fired all long, and she suffered the consequences, unfortunately, of a market that just was not going to give us long. We had a relatively small gap up, we can call it there. We moved up for 15 minutes. We chopped for a little over an hour, and it was right back down, nearly testing yesterday's lows, just above. We popped up and curled right back down again. So, if you like the volatility, you like a lot of range, you like a lot of action, this is the kind of market for you. If you like things more like me, that the trend is your friend, so on and so forth, slower movers, this has not been the market for me or other traders that are similar to me. And so, I sit on my hands at this point. I more like to swing things. If I am getting into something, I'm probably opt to take the shares or take the money and run right away at this point. It's just kind of the market, what it gives us. The only thing that should change in our trading plan is our expectations and our risk management. We risk manage in the market that we have, not the market we want. So RSP closing between, and the RSP, it's a little more evenly weighted too. So, for those that aren't familiar, the SPY, bring up the chart again here, that's very heavy tech weighted at the moment. However, RSP, this is an equal weighted ETF of the SPY instead of being heavy to the tech side like the SPY currently is. So, I mean, realistically, there's all-time highs. Not a whole lot to, I'm neither a bear nor a bull. I'm what the charts tell me, essentially. So, we're sitting about 5 points off the all-time high here, or lifetime high. So there's that lifetime high. Since November of last year, I mean, had some flat times that were through here. So look, we're very range bound all through there. We made a move up. One could argue that we're range bound up here now instead. Those are terrible lines that I'm drawing, but broke that range right there with those gap downs from last week, and we're right back up here again. So, front row seats to see how this all unfolds and what it means to the long-term picture. But again, let's do this and change the time frame and perspective. That's a weekly chart. That was pretty range bound for a long time. That was there. All right. And this is December of 2018. I'm 100% sure of that. And we made a move up after that, and then COVID happened. And look at the bounce after COVID. So, I mean, to say we're due for some sort of major pullback would be an understatement. I won't try to make sense of any of this. Market being irrational longer than you can be solvent and all those cliches and whatnot. So again, just kind of filling dead air time here. If someone's got a question about the software itself, I'd love to demonstrate anything that you have questions. If not, let's take a look at some of the uglier stuff from Holly first. Usually I start with the good stuff. Let's look at the uglier stuff first. So LNG, gap up here. Let's change this back to a daily chart. It's a little more appropriate for what we're doing here. And so, better picture. And so, yeah, Jeff, let me I'll hit this highlight on this Holly trade, and then we'll jump over to your question. So we've gapped up and held here a couple days on LNG. Energy, natural gas distribution, been very bullish overall lately. And with the gap up, looks like the gap up and holds, 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes in, she makes the call. She gets in the money here. So what time did she get in that money? 10:24. And so on this next candle, she lost it here somewhere in the, let's say, 10:40 range, give or take the Eastern times that I'm giving before making a release for the rest of the day. Of course, she bounces back up towards that entry, but it was too little too late as she came down here and got stopped out. And did she reduce risk or did she stop out? Actually, yeah. So stop hit. You can see it right there. And just wasn't a great trade. And this was a stock that, regardless of the market, more or less, if you look at the SPY chart and this 15-minute chart that's right here, we can see this mini gap up. All right. Green bar. A wick here. This held strong for a moment. We traded the green bar for the red bar for the green bar here before giving a release. And same kind of thing here. So I suspect that if we look at a natural gas chart for UNG, we're going to see something similar also. So that was it for Holly on that. Not much else to write about on that one. Just what looked like it may have been a good entry had the market been a little more on our side. So Jeff, can you explain the difference between save the entire layout versus start from scratch? I'm not sure what you mean, Jeff. Let me look here. Are you talking about if we come to Save or Shared Cloud? Because you can click entire layout. If you click start from scratch, it means it's going to uncheck these. I think that's what you're talking about, right? So like you can check individual things that you want to save here. So if you don't want to save every single thing. So if we go to Save or Share to Cloud, look here. So if we look here, same concept as what I was just showing, because these are what's in that docked. So we have the single stock window, the alert window, the top list, the automated. We can uncheck those. So if we click start from scratch, we're not saving anything from that docked layout. It's a blank dock. It's that. Yeah, all right, good. I think I'm making sense. Let me know if I'm not. So same idea. And then same thing. We can save the entire layout into that dock, which will probably crash things because that's a whole lot of stuff to put in one dock. But that's how that would work on both sides, whether you're doing it from the docked side here or if you were doing it from your menu bar and doing the entire layout here. Grom after hours. Well, I didn't even realize the market had closed. Haha. Let's take a look at Grom. Let's see here. Grom. Oh, yeah, we were discussing this earlier. It made some big move. Was that in one of Barry's scanners, maybe? No. I don't know where that came from. I think maybe Michael Noss had mentioned it. And so I was paying attention through it here. I had zero intention of trading it, but I was watching it as it was trying to defend that 8 EMA, but it just had absolutely nothing. And the general rule of thumb with these stocks like this, is someone that had taught me a long time ago, is that when something makes a big move like that and then makes a big move back down like that, and it's these smaller price stocks, odds are it's not coming back here again. It's going back to where it started. So, who knows what tomorrow holds. I'm sure there's probably news or something why that happened. Um, like you said, making a move here in the post market. We'll see what happens. And get rid of that. And change that around. There we go. So again, kind of an open forum here, Trade Ideas Software, going over the scanners. You have questions about who we are, what our capabilities are, different types of scanners, what we can create, what we can't create. It's open Q&A. I just filled dead air time. No pre-done content here. So it's an open forum to help anybody that is already a subscriber or wants to become a subscriber. So there's that. So we're on Holly. I guess I'll move back towards Holly again, unless someone else has another question. We've looked at one ugly trade. Let's look at a second ugly trade here. Billy, BILI. And so bullish trend change. And see what she was looking for here. Closed down, started to make a move up today. Fortunately, she top ticks it on the wrong side before giving a release. There's nothing alpha about this stock whatsoever. We could see that it was doing right around its normal volume over 10 days, 1.35 on the relative volume. So just a third over what it's been averaging over 10 days, 6 million shares. So while it's still liquid, it's not a stock that was doing anything. There's no alpha to be had on its own. And while the trend change looks like it might have been happening, it was really more or less coordinated with what went on in the indexes. I would also suspect if we look at the K-Web, let's take a look at K-Web. That's kind of internet stuff from China. And see something similar. So look at that. I mean, almost identical charts. So same idea here. We would have top ticked where we just saw in Billy, same kind of range on that fall, and just to release almost identical charts, even here on this. So again, knowing your markets, this is, these are things that come from seed time and time after time of watching charts and ETFs, indexes, so on and so forth. So, this was not the right setup, unfortunately. And the algorithm got caught off guard here on the sellout or sell off there. So tick sell, let's see, can both versions of TI be installed on a computer at the same time, docking and non-docking? No, they can't. I'm sorry. And it's an intelligence forward installation. So if you want to go backwards in installations, assuming that you have it saved still in your download folder, you have to uninstall the latest version to go back a version. That's the only way to do that. So that's how that works. So if you all can excuse me 1 second, just put myself on mute, and please, again, fire away questions here, open forum and all this. Live Q&A here. So, happy to answer any questions here. You already went back to the non-docking. Yeah, it's odd. I'm running I bought the computer I have over 4 years ago, but it's probably about a 4.5 or 5-year-old Dell. I really haven't had any issues with connection or slowing, but a lot of users are coming in saying they are, and they have these souped up computers and that they're not running too many windows and that their layouts are, sparse. They're not, overly, overdoing it with Windows. So I don't really, I'm not a technical guy like that, so I don't really have much of an answer, unfortunately. Like I said, I'm not running anything special at all. So our order buttons and order entry covered by Holly parameters. I'm not sure what you mean. Are order buttons or order entry covered by Holly parameters? Do you mean on Brokerage Plus? Let me, if you could point me a little more. I'm not sure exactly what you mean here, Benjamin. Um, so essentially, the way it would work is that let's do it like this. Let me disconnect from interactive brokers and come to simulated trading, and then make sure you select the account here so that we got the selected account. If I click on anything here in Holly, we're going to load it here. See, so watch, I'm clicking on UNFI. So UNFI is loaded here. From here, I'm going to have to pick my share sizing in Brokerage Plus, and I'm going to have to pick, am I going in at market or am I going in at a limit? We can use the limit here, or excuse me, no, that's for limiting out. I apologize. And that's more or less how it's going to work. Then buy or sell based on where we're going. We're going bid, ask. We're going somewhere in between the bid and ask. Are we going at market? Or are we just sticking a random order in? Um, and I see someone's asking about subtitles. I'll take a look. I don't know if I have the capabilities of putting subtitles in here. It's something I'll make a note for you, whoever's asking that. I'm not sure if I have those capabilities or not. I'm a little new to all the streaming, and this is actually different streaming software that we're using, so we can do this. But that's how the order entries would work as far as as far as excuse me, as far as Holly would work into Brokerage Plus for manual trading, anyways. If you're looking at Holly in automation, there's nothing you really need to do other than you come in here to these different strategies. And what happens is when you go to edit, you edit the instructions for all long strategies grouped together or all short strategies grouped together. So how do you close a stock purchase or bought by Holly for reasons I save the income stop from further going down? So, but Benjamin, do you mean, so let's say Holly, you have Holly set in automation and then she makes a buy and you decide you don't want to be in that trade anymore. Is that what you mean? Because I think I was corresponding with you via email earlier today about this, right, Benjamin? Let me know if that's what we're going with. Yes. Okay. So this is how this works. And, I tried to cover this in the video, but maybe I wasn't clear in it. So what happens is when Holly makes an entry on anything, all right, in automation or any other strategy in automation, two orders are sent out with that. So if we get the fill here, all right, at 48.11, whether we're in conservative or moderate mode that we selected, two orders go out associated with this order here. One is our stop. So now there's going to be an order in the orders tab. That's a stop order sitting and waiting here. Okay. Then we're going to have either our target if there's a target involved, or the time stop if the time stop is involved. Or if, as far as moderate goes, there are other orders that could be associated with it instead if there's a reduced risk involved or a profit save involved as well or for conservative mode. But essentially, this order here equals other orders going out here, okay, that are sitting in this orders tab. And while we don't see them here right now because I don't have any orders sitting, they're here. If I were to close this trade on my own manually, let's say I decided right here, I'm closing it, I've made a few dollars, I got to leave to go to a doctor's appointment, and I'm happy with what I made, this order here and this order here are still sitting there for me. They don't cancel, even though I just sold all my shares. So now if the price gets to here, there's an order to sell here. So I would now create a short position here because I don't have any shares to sell, yet I have a sell order sitting there with the broker. And so I become short, or vice versa. If the price were to fall down to here to the stop, I'm still selling down here because I have an order to sell here, even though I have no shares left because I manually sold here. Does that make sense? Let me know. And so as far as the whole subtitles thing, I am inquiring with minds that are smarter than mine on how that will work for you. So I can see, I don't know if I'll be able to get it today. I only have about 15 minutes before I have to wrap up and get out of here anyways for the day. But I am going to figure something out here. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. It's hard to keep it moving, keep it entertaining for everybody. So, and I'd like to show more winners and losers and things like that. But I also want to be transparent and realistic about what's going on here. Unfortunately, we get a lot of people that inquire about, oh, I just want to set automation, and because I'm working all day and I can't watch it. My first question is, have you ever traded before? And the answer is no. It's like, well, okay, I can respect and understand why people want to do that, but that's not what automation really is. You can get there with years and years of having years of trading experience, or understanding market mechanics, and then the software and so on and so forth. But someone that's using the software for at least less than 6 months and with no market experience, there is no press play and walk away. It's just that is what it is. So all right, for our subtitle question, I put that out there to every person that I work with to see what is told of me and who knows what. Like I said, this is all a little bit new to me, but I want to make sure we get everybody everything we can to help everybody here. So, all right, perfect, Benjamin. I'm glad that that made sense to you. So, and here's the thing: the data that we pull in to run Brokerage Plus comes from your broker, actually. So, it's not our data that's updating your profile or your portfolios, your positions, or anything like that, because we can't just look directly into IB like that. We pull our data from different sources, IB not included. And so they're the broker, they're the executor. We send the order, we don't hold the orders. So those orders that I just described to you, that stop order that goes out here when you get your fill, and this, whatever, it's a target or it's a profit saver, whatever it is, that order, if those automation orders, those are linked in what's called a set of bracket orders that were attached to this original fill and sitting in Trader Workstation of IB, or however E-Trade works. I'm not really overly familiar with E-Trade, but the same idea. Those bracket orders are sitting there waiting, and they're conditional bracket orders, meaning that if one or the other gets filled, it'll cancel the other because they're attached together. But when you do it manually here, for example, this order was not attached to anything. So these two still sit there waiting to do what you had originally told them to do, or told the broker to do from that fill. And so that's just how that works with that. And we hope to someday have our own server set data that we can hold orders, and that will give us a lot more flexibility. So, for example, right now you couldn't use a moving average to sell. You have to obey regular bracket market orders and stop orders and so on and so forth. But when we're able to have our own data set to hold and send those orders at will, instead of sending them to the broker right away, that will be a game changer. That's something that we're working on. You know, 6 months, a year, 18 months. I don't know. I won't pretend to understand server architecture and things like that that the dev team works on. So, but just give you an idea of the things that we're working on in the background. Don't always get talked about. And while some of this stuff takes a long time, doing this docking here, this was no easy task. This was no easy undertaking for us. And we also knew that doing it, we had to increase server load. And so we are slowly increasing that server load. That some of the slowing that some people have seen, that will be alleviated in the months coming. Every single day the servers are being worked on. We're adding things, we're adding tech, we're adding hardware, we're adding software to all that stuff. So, always moving forward. There's no finish line with trade ideas. There's always something that we're working on. And I understand it's not always something that everybody wants or is looking for. But, with thousands of people asking us for things every day, and some of them asking for very, very specific things, and it's one or two people asking for those, unfortunately, we can't be everything to everybody. We have to, try to find a way that it works best for a majority of users, and obviously for the company as well. So working with what we're allowed to and what we have. So coming 418, got about 10 minutes before I start to wrap this up here. Again, it's totally open forum, Q&A here, trade ideas, scanning software. So please fire away if you have any questions, you want to see something demonstrated, so on and so forth. So I'm taking a look here. I'm asked if there's a way to turn on closed captions live right now. in YouTube. So I'm just kind of taking a look here. Play HD settings, and not really seeing that option at the moment. So autoplay. Copied bug. Sorry, just kind of playing around here on the YouTube side of things here outside of my streaming software. See if I could get that closed captioning for you there. Not seeing anything at the moment. So, all right. So, it'll be something I continue to circle back until I can get you an answer there on that one way or the other. So, again, please, fire away questions if we have. If not, I'll jump back in. We've shown a couple of Holly losers. Let's look at a loser, but that we could have had be a winner. So let's take a look at SONM. And while maybe not necessarily the easiest of trades here to have eked out a few dollars, the way this worked out is that given the stop here and risking $100 based on that stop, I would have share sized to 1,667 shares down here that we can see. All right. And that would have equaled a max profit while she was in that trade of $97.52. And that would have been right there on that top tick. So had I made that entry there, I would have had at least 15 minutes there and a few more minutes that were involved here above that entry there to have taken some of that alpha. And while, yes, a $97 trade, let's say slippage, and we know we're always getting the meat of the trade. We're not, nobody's really buying tops and selling bottoms and so on and so forth. Maybe $80, $75. It's still, that's something reasonable to have expected on that trade like that. And so while the trade comes down and ends up getting stopped out down here anyways, there was a solid, let's say 20 minutes after entering that trade to have taken some profit there. And you had a few minutes to decide, did I want to get in this trade or not in that range? So you didn't have to jump right in it. You didn't have to jump right out of it. There's definitely some alpha to be had on that trade. So again, something for all different walks of traders. We'll look at something that was a little, let's say, easier to have dealt with here, and UNFI. And if we look back here, she traded this yesterday and she actually shorted it and she went long it yesterday. So kind of one of those funny ones that worked like that. But it was a continuation play today. All right. And small gap down that was here. She makes the entry on the second 15-minute bar there. What time did we get that entry? 9:51 and 8 seconds on the Eastern time. All right. Makes an immediate move up here, all right, after that entry. So maybe, yes, a little tough to have gotten that entry, but we stayed range bound here. Buyers and sellers are even for that period of time before we break the range here. All right, so you had time to decide. Maybe I set a price alert, see if she can break this range. Maybe I set a price alert to see if I get a pullback and get a better entry here or get something closer to her original entry, all right? And then you get, 1, 2, 3, 4 bars that are up in a row and get you into the money that's there, all right? Slight pullback and some range again that's here before we make a little more of a tick upwards at the end of the day. And, it stayed in the money the rest of the day. Now, we show here a profit save, and that profit save coordinates with what we call our conservative profit, okay? She has different risk parameters here for conservative and moderate, and please forget about aggressive. Aggressive doesn't exist. I hate aggressive. Aggressive is trading without a stop, which isn't trading. You want to trade without a stop? Go to Vegas. That's my advice to you. Or Atlantic City or Reno or Foxwoods or whatever casino's closest to you. If that's what trading is for you, trading without a stop. I'm not sure what to tell anybody that does that. But with that said, in the moderate profit there, that means that we bought it and we hold it for the whole day. So while she exited here because she wasn't going to let a winner turn into a loser here on this down tick, all right, if we had entered the trade, let's say with her or somewhere in that green bar, we might have said, well, she exited on the profit save. Okay. So if I had 200 shares, maybe I'll sell 100 here and let me see what the rest of that 100 does. And I'll move my stop. Maybe I move it from here to the entry. So I know at least I'm walking away with some profit. By doing something like that, we satisfy both demons of greed and fear. So the greed says, I want to hold on for a little bit more money. The fear says, I don't want to let a winner turn to a loser. And so that's how we could better manage that trade ourselves. And I've held on to a few shares, and had we done that, regardless of what we did right into the close, we ended up making a few extra points on that spread there, knowing that that's where she had closed it. And this is where we could have closed it on the end of the day there. So if anything I'm saying doesn't make sense, or you have a question, a comment, a concern about any of it, please jump in. And let me know. Like I said, this is open forum, so I'm just kind of killing time, moving forward, trying to create some content here for us to look at. So we did 2 Holly losers. We did a Holly loser that could have been a winner, us managing the trade well. Let's look at one more Holly trade here that ended up as a loser, but certainly could have been a winner. So BEKE. We get the alert signal at 9:52. So if we pay attention here, Holly was really busy earlier in the day here. All these real early alerts. And today was not a day to jump in early. And Holly paid the price for jumping in early. Either way, she makes the entry, like we said, at 9:52. So in this bar here, this 15-minute bar there, she gets in. So it's strong move, opening range up. Okay, she makes the entry. And we have a couple of bars moving up afterwards. So about 45 minutes that we were up above this entry, healthy up above this entry as well, that we could have gotten out. And we can see that we took that profit save right there at 10:35. All right. And that's what we did. On the moderate profit, though, which means that we held it for the end of the day, we bled all day long, unfortunately, right into that close. So again, we showed where the moderate profit we're holding to the day could have benefited us a few shares, and we showed where it can hurt us a few shares now. So same kind of concept. Holly makes that exit in here, okay? And we could have said to ourselves, let's sell. If we took a 200 share lot, we could have said, let's sell. She actually exited right there. Let's sell 100. Let's move our stop to break even, all right? Or we could even say, let's move our stop to something that's very popular, the bottom of the previous 15-minute bar. It's a very popular stop that a lot of traders use. And so by moving that stop from here to here, or even here, we guarantee ourselves by selling half that original lot that we took, we're locking in some profits there. So hopefully that makes some sense and, gives some people some ideas as far as creating a trading plan, trading strategy, because as anybody that's ever been in any support session with me before, you could have the greatest scanner on the planet. If you don't know how to manage a trade when you're inside of it, the scanner won't mean anything. It'll mean absolutely nothing. I can talk from my personal experience that I had early on in trading, number of times that I was up, 1 or 2 or 3 points in a trade. And instead of taking that money, I let nearly every one of those go right afterwards, thinking, oh, this is the big one. It's going to go to the moon. I'm going to go get 40% on this trade. And instead of taking that 2, 3, 4% that I had, that was a very reasonable amount to take, I let it turn to a loser over and over and over again. And the reason I did that is I had no risk management plan. I had no trading plan whatsoever. So the scanning I was doing was okay. The chart reading I was doing was okay. Once I was in that trade, I was like, oh, well, I got to stop, but I don't know what I'm doing if I'm up here in the trade. So, not much you can do without a trading plan. We're moving to 27 past the hour here. You're going to begin to wind things down here if nobody has any questions or comments or concerns. As we were doing an auction, kind of going once. I'll say, we're in a position that over the next few days, I would really highly recommend to anybody that is to the newer side of trading or is unsure about things or has struggled recently, sit on your hands first half an hour, 35, 40 minutes. I've had a saying for a long time, I'd rather miss out on the upside than participate on the downside. As the saying goes, stocks take the stairs up. All right. Stairs, slow, winding sometimes. They take an empty elevator shaft down. And that's how that works. So it's much better to miss out on a little upside than participate on the big downsides. Automated trading, no TOS at this time, period. We will have it. When we will have it, got all of them one. I can't tell you. We're still wrapping up the end of this E-Trade link. Hopefully sooner than later. We were close on TOS when we were working on it before we shelved it. So we have a good starting point with it when our developers and our contractors get back into that TOS link. So, and, you know, a conversation that I had with one of our head guys as far as on the development team a couple of weeks ago. I asked him realistically, are we ever actually going to have it? Because I want TOS. I don't like Trader Workstation. I don't like IB personally. And I say this full well knowing that if Barry's listening, he's going to be cursing me out because Barry loves IB and Barry's had a great experience with IB. He likes them. And it's not that I've necessarily had a bad experience with IB. I just prefer Thinkorswim. That's all. I don't really have anything bad to say about IB. I wish they didn't charge commissions and data, but at the end, it's not really costing a whole lot on my side of things. I just like the feel of Thinkorswim. That's all. Just a personal preference. So, but I had asked one of our guys that's more in charge of things than anybody else around here, and he said yes, we will definitely have it. He said, of course, not giving any timetable whatsoever, but you can expect to see it at some point in the not so very distant future. So yes, E-Trade. Yep, we have the E-Trade connection. The only issue with the E-Trade connection, and it is in the notes on our download page. So if you were to come to our download page, and this is what I'm going to end things with here. Let me pull over our download page. All right, we're here, and let's go to download software. And it's always good for everybody. Do your homework, okay? We have all of our notes, our production notes that are in here about every change that was made, what bugs there may or may not have been. Most of the bugs have to do with Microsoft and us working or not working with them. In here, if we come down to Brokerage Plus, E-Trade, limitations. So here we go. In here, we tell you that in E-Trade on the market open, there is an issue due to their API timing during high frequency volume periods. Okay. So it's all spelled out there for you, and it's not in fine print. These are just things that, we got to put because any automated strategy with E-Trade at the moment seems to crash on the open. It crashes E-Trade. They can't handle it. It crashes us. We can't handle their crash. So if you're trying to trade the open, which I really don't recommend in automation, but it's free country, you do what you want to do. That's kind of the way that works right now as far as E-Trade goes, until we can figure out a way to work around their bad API. It's one of those things where it took us years to get E-Trade's API open to us. And when we got it open and we said, hey, your API is broken and your data is bad, they say, hey, we don't care. That's your problem. You asked for it. There it is. You deal with it. And so that's what we've done. We've dealt with it. We've got it all the way to the point from where it was completely broken to this is the last hurdle that we have with it. So, and that's the same story with TD Ameritrade and Thinkorswim. So hopefully that answers some questions. Hopefully this was helpful to a few people. And with that, I will bid you all adieu till tomorrow. 3:30 Eastern, start up this 5 days a week now. So same bat time, same bat channel, everyone. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for participating. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Thank you.